Welcome back to Ignite. Don't miss a second of this show or any of your Now Media TV favorites. We are streaming live and on demand whenever and wherever you want. Grab the free Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS and enjoy instant access to our lineup of bilingual programs in both English and Spanish. Now, there are a lot of you who prefer podcasts. Don't worry, we have you covered. Listen to Ignite anytime on Now Media TV website at www.nowmedia.tv, where we're covering business, breaking news, lifestyles, culture, and more. Now Media TV is available 24 by 7, so the stories you care about are always within reach. Welcome back to Ignite. In this final segment, we're talking about true leadership leaves behind legacy. Great leaders don't just lead for today, they build for tomorrow. Many leaders are focused on the immediate results, forgetting to design structures, systems, and values that last beyond just themselves. So, Vikita, why does it look like, what does it look like for design leadership that continues to bear fruit after you step back?
Sure. So let me just say this. Your team is a reflection of your leadership. If you're a successful leader, then you've got successful individuals on your team. One of the things that I try to tell leaders in dealing with whether C-suite leaders or people just stepping into leadership, you never know the impact that you have on someone. Um, and you may never hear a thank you. You may never hear an appreciation. But what you want to do is you want to be the best version of yourself for while they're with you during the trajectory of that career path with that particular organization. You want to equip them with all the tools that they need so that they can go on to their next assignment. And I use that word literal. This is an assignment. It is not permanent, right? It is an assignment that you are supposed to teach them, groom them, educate them for this particular season that's in their life. You want them to be the best version of themselves, and then you want to pass the baton over to their next person who has the next assignment. Legacy for me, when I think about leadership, is that employee or that leader is on a stage somewhere or they're talking to somebody, just like we did as children, to say, I had a leader that had this tremendous impact and it changed the trajectory of my life. And I'll use a personal story. I was coaching this young lady who had just stepped into leadership, had no clue on how to do anything. What was crippling her are things that happened to her in her childhood that was stopping her from responding a certain way. I said, let's pause and let's deal with this, because this is going to stop you from everything that you are trying to accomplish, because you have great talent, you have great ability. And here is an example of where I see you if you could stop focusing right here. And so I literally had to peel that back. We had to deal with some unresolved issues, some unresolved pain, some unresolved scars. Once she was able to let that go, she has just excelled in ways that are unbelievable. I will never forget, she said to me, she said, "You have changed my life." And I was like, that is what I am called to do. So when you go and become the best chief of staff that you're going to be wherever you go, I am glad to know that I had a small, integral part in that defining moment. And that is legacy leadership. It is not about what I'm getting out of it, it is what I am pouring into. We have a responsibility to train our leaders so that they can be the best version of themselves, because they are managing other leaders. And my response to her was, now it is your turn to go do the very same thing I did for you for someone else. And it becomes a monopoly effect.
Absolutely. You are so right. and it's our job to think about how we're going to help the next one as we move forward. I mean, what a beautiful story about turning things around, but also recognizing that you needed to do some additional coaching before you could even move on with what the objective was. Now, we know that balance can be an issue for all leaders, right? Balance in daily demands and thinking about the future, etc. How do you balance those daily demands and legacy thinking in leadership? How do you make that work?
It's intentional. It's very intentional. And it wasn't always for me. It was not always because I was running on fumes. And then finally I said, I'm not helping anybody. And the only person that's getting caught up in this is myself. So I was doing more damage to myself while trying to be everything for everybody. And so, when I am coaching or talking to other leaders, I will often talk about my experiences because people don't want to hear from folks that haven't been through anything. They want to know how have you overcome these obstacles and these challenges that I am currently dealing with. And so one thing that I tell leaders is be intentional about your time, be intentional about your health, be intentional about your mental health. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. That's crucial, right? Sleep is important. Laughter is important. Sometimes you gotta laugh through some of the small stuff because it's just not that serious, right? And so you have to be intentional about your time management. When we hear about time management, people are thinking about, oh, well, I have time to be able to do this, this, that, and the other. No, you don't. Be happy with the word no. Like no is a beautiful phrase. And for the longest time, I had a hard time. I have a problem saying no now. Vikita, can you? No, I cannot. Right? Because it doesn't align up with what it is that I'm trying to do. Don't try to conquer the world because that's not going to happen. Make sure you understand what your assignment is as a leader. Be very strategic about the things that you sign up for to do. Make sure that it aligns with your mission and vision and value for your life, whether it's your spiritual life, whether it's your work life, whether it's your personal life. Make sure that you are in alignment because then you will understand that your time is valuable. What you bring to the table is valuable. Now, I'm not confused. You want to make sure that you have a seat at the table because if not, you're on the menu. But in order to have that seat at the table, you have to be able to know what you're bringing to the table. So be very strategic with your time, be very strategic with what you do, be very strategic with the influences that are speaking into your life. Separate yourself from any negativity, and then that will help you to balance it. I sleep so good at night, I can fire somebody today and go to bed 10 minutes later. Matter of fact, I can fire somebody today and have coffee with them at the same exact time because I'm not terminating your employment. This assignment that you have is over and it's time for you to move on to your next assignment. It's just the bottom line. And so I think that those are some key strategic points that I think people really need to understand is you're not going to conquer the world. You have to be very clear with your goals and your dreams and your ambitions. Make sure that everything that you are doing are aligning up. But most importantly, I think I'll end with this. When we get on a plane, the flight attendant says, before you put on somebody else's mask, put your mask on first. And if you don't have any oxygen, you can't breathe. So put your mask on first before you try to save somebody else.
And we take that so lightly, but you're so right. If we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be any good to anyone else as we're going through this process. And we know that balance is never easy. But I always tell, as I tell my clients, I look at balance as something that is inward. I remember when I was working as a leader and I would come to work early or I would stay at work late, and it got back to me from my leadership that you're not being a good role model. People are watching you and they're thinking that the only way they can grow is to do that. And I went, oh my gosh, I never wanted to do that. So I addressed my team and I said, look, I've never asked you to work the hours I work. I never asked you to do what I do. I do what I do because I'm having fun. I love it. I enjoy it. Not because I'm expecting you to do that. But what I do want you to do is to meet your goals and objectives, whatever that looks like for you, right? However that comes out for you, let's make that happen. And some people work better in the mornings. That's their bright spot. Some are in the afternoon, some are later in the evenings. We all have our time where we thrive and we shine. And we have
Mhm.
to make sure that where we're working, the culture we're working in, aligns with that to have that balance. And I think
Right.
that's so critical with what you said about being able to find that balance and where, because you spend so much time at work. Vikita, your insights are both practical and very powerful. Where can our viewers follow your work and continue learning from your leadership?
Absolutely. So definitely follow me on Instagram. I'm not the Facebook or not Instagram. I'm sorry, LinkedIn. LinkedIn. I am not the Facebook and Instagram individual. I am more LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn. I do post a lot of information. Follow us on our website. Um, but I have no problem with people reaching out to me directly. So again, you can reach me at Vikita at pcghr.net. You can just Google me. You'll find all of my information as well. One of my visions is just making sure that people are the best version of themselves as possible. I had people pour into me. It is my responsibility and my assignment to pour back into other people. So feel free to reach out to us. I have an amazing team of employees who are all, speak a different language, right? Because leaders come in all shapes, forms, sizes, color, creeds, orientations. So feel free to reach out to us. I guarantee you we have somebody that's there, if it's not me, that can meet that need, because all we like to do is plant seeds.
Well, Vikita, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your empowering insights. I mean, the words that you've spoken, the guidance that you've given. We've explored what it takes to coach rather than control, hire from the heart, resolve conflict with integrity, and build a legacy that lasts. To our audience, leadership isn't about titles, it's about transformation. When you focus on people, principles, and purpose, you don't manage success, you ignite it. I'm Vicki Wright Hamilton, and this is Ignite on Now Media Television. Thank you for watching, and remember, the fire of leadership starts within.